Well, hello and welcome to our next session, which is a panel on employee resource groups. This is sponsored by AIG. My name is Andrew Eddy, and very excited to moderate this panel. I'm the CEO of Untapped Talent, and we've been involved with the Autism Work Summits for many years. So I'd like to now welcome the panel members. If you can now just turn on your cameras. And if we can just go around, and if you can introduce yourself, just to tell us, just in a couple of minutes, introduce yourself, tell us about how you're involved in your organization's neurodiversity ERG and how it fits with your job. So if we could start with Imogen, thank you.
Hi, thank you, Andrew. So my name is Imogen. I work for GHD, which is a consultancy firm. Been in the industry for about 18 or 19 years. And at the moment, my day job is looking after our Gold Coast office. I'm the manager of the office there. We have a number of disciplines in the Gold Coast office. And then I'm also the ERG, Neurodiversity ERG leader for GHD for Australia. And that's something I do kind of on the side as a voluntary thing, just to complement. That's probably me, Andrew.
Thank you, Imogen. Now, Elio, who's from Oracle.
Yes, hello everybody. My name's Elio Sarpi. I'm based in Melbourne. I'm a father of an autistic child, and I've been with Oracle for 26 years. I've been in the IT industry for about 30 years. We're a large global IT company with 130,000 employees globally. I currently manage customers and I work with internal staff at Oracle across Asia Pacific in an individual contributor role. But over the years at Oracle, I've managed lots of global teams at Oracle. And I'm based in Melbourne, but I've worked for long periods of time in China, Japan, and Korea. That's me.
Thank you, Elio. And now to Pierre, who's based in Copenhagen, but is currently in San Francisco because he's speaking at a conference there. So over to you, Pierre.
Thank you, Andrew. Hello, everyone. Very pleased to be with you today. So yes, indeed, I'm Pierre. I'm working for Ubisoft, which is a video game developer. We are present internationally, and we have a tiny office in Australia. So I'm 51 years old, father of 3 kids, 2 of them being diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD. And through their diagnostic, I realized that I was also an ADHDer. That led me to create an initiative and launch an initiative in Ubisoft 2 years ago, which was to create an employee resource group. I've been always working in the video game industry 25 years now. I have a manager profile, and I'm someone quite passionate. It's all or nothing. And I enjoy very much management. And today we will see it later. I'm having a very specific role in our HR team connected to neurodiversity.
Thank you, Pierre. So now I want to go around and just dive in a bit deeper and ask each of you to say a bit more about the neurodiversity ERG that your organizations have, the journey you've been on to get to where you are. What's the structure of your ERG? How is it run? How long has it been running? How many people are involved, either directly or indirectly? And what types of activity do you undertake? So if we could start with Imogen.
Thanks, Andrew. So our neurodiversity ERG started in around 2018. It's definitely been an organic process, and it's a volunteer process. So it's people putting up their hand to be involved in their own time or that kind of thing. So we've probably got about 15 or 20 people nationally. So we meet across Australia, and GHD has lots of offices in lots of different areas of Australia, so we connect across Australia, which is good. And we've got a mix of people with the lived experience of neurodiversity, people who are neurodiverse, and then people just with a passion and an interest for neurodiversity. So I've got a good mix of different people from across the company. it's kind of evolved over time with the needs of the company, but I guess generally speaking, each year we sit down and identify where we want to target, our activities with throughout the year. And this year, and these are kind of key themes that have always been there, but we're still definitely focusing on awareness across the business for neurodiversity. What is neurodiversity? How does it, how does it add value to our business? We're still definitely playing an internal support and advocacy role on an individual basis, supporting people who have come forward as identified as neurodiverse, or looking at employing interns or graduates and helping support them and our people teams to make that a success. And then I guess leading on to that, the focus this year has really been on getting some training and support for people teams, and then leaders to help support the people. Because what's kind of happened organically is the more we put out the awareness around different neurodiversities, whether it be through shares at meetings or internal intranet posts and things like that, the more queries we get back to the ERG. Hey, I think I've got some people in my team who need some support, or hey, I've just been diagnosed with ADHD and want to know where I can go for support. So it's been quite grassroots, and it's growing over time. So the needs of what we need to focus on are coming out of the people within our company, which is really exciting. So I guess the next step for us is some training and support for team leaders and people managers to help support people within their groups. And also we're doing a connection role where people might want to be connected with like-minded people within the business. So we kind of play that role as well. So yeah, I guess that's kind of what we're focusing on. I think, my goal is that we move from having to be advocates to this being something that everyone understands and can support. And I think we'll slowly get there. And I think one thing that we have learned along the way is, anything that we implement to support someone who's neurodiverse, or changes we make to our, recruitment processes and things like that, they support everybody and make it a better workplace for everybody. So I think that's another key message that we're learning as we go through the journey. So that's probably a brief summary of what we've been focusing on and where we see ourselves going, I guess, in the next couple of years.
So Imogen, just a follow-on question.
Yeah.
Did you see any particular breakthrough? Was there some time when, you're working hard at this and didn't feel like you're getting anywhere, and then suddenly there was a bit of a breakthrough?
I think one of the things that really resonates with people is personal stories, and we've had a couple of those and hoping to have more. If people are comfortable sharing their personal stories of, transitioning to the workplace or having some success in the workplace, and the added value that neurodiverse people bring to the workplace, that really resonates with people. And I think more and more of those real stories and taking away stigmas, I think, is really important. And I think one thing we're definitely seeing a trend in is the next generation of graduates coming through. They're more aware, they understand neurodiversity, they're more open to it. We've had lots of graduates saying they're choosing companies who are supportive and understanding neurodiversity. So I think they're going to be the future, and really they're going to be the ones that drive it, and that's going to be exciting, I think.
And is your ERG involved in that? That public facing messages that are going out to attract people?
No, not at this stage. Okay. Not as yeah.
So that could be an opportunity, isn't it?
100%.
That sort of interaction.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So now pass to Elio, if you could just talk a bit more about the ERG at Oracle and the journey and
Sure.
the structure and so on. Thank you.
Sure. So our ERG at Oracle, our Neurodiversity ERG, started in August 2020. I was one of the founding members, and I was a co-chair at the start, but now I'm chair. So it's been running since then. We've got a number of ERGs that have been sponsored by our CEO, Safra Katz. at a global level. And Neurodiversity Network sort of falls under our Oracle Diverse Abilities Network that sort of run globally. It's a really big network. In JPAC, I sort of worked with HR to create a smaller network, which is Neurodiversity, because I found the one in the US was very big. It was global, but it just covered too much. So being the father of an autistic teenager, I have a lot of connections and was able to sort of influence that. So we started our ERG. And my goal of this ERG was to basically, initially we didn't have any funding. You know, some sign of funding, but nothing concrete. So we started with setting up our vision and our mission. And we worked on that for a while because we didn't have any funding, but we wanted to make a difference in the organization. So we set up a vision, which we decided on was to improve awareness, promote inclusion, and create networks. So those are the three drivers that have been part of our ERG from the very start. And, you know, our mission is basically to give access to a network of employees with invaluable information that can sort of help and support them. So that's been our leading drivers. And every meeting I start with our committee, that's what I start with. So we always stay focused on that. So one of the reasons I want to explain why it started is my family's experience with neurodiversity has been very difficult. We felt very alone since my son was diagnosed at the age of 7. Our life changed tremendously in many aspects. And, you know, my son can explain those in years to come, but we felt very alone. Even though there's lots of services out there, there's lots of amazing organizations, we felt very alone. And I felt very alone in the workplace. So I wanted to change that for Oracle. So we're a volunteer-based team. And we started with one team. A few people have left in the meantime since we started in 2020. Recently, I advertised for a position and I had 20 people apply from APAC for one position. I was like absolutely ecstatic, and I interviewed each of them. Some of them were neurodiverse, some of them had a connection. Some of them were disclosed, some of them weren't disclosed. But I was so excited by that. We had a team of 5 people. I decided to make it 10 because I just wanted to have some of the amazing skills that, you know, some of the people that work for us have, and I wanted to bring that together. So what do? We kind of, we're still working it out. I mean, I think an ERG needs to evolve and we're still working it out. We try and bring people together and connect people. So people connect, anyone can access it. We run a Slack channel that anyone can join, and people can share information, their stories, anything that's out in the media. But as a committee, and people connect, and people have come to me and said, I'm an autistic father in India, or I'm an Oracle employee that is autistic and I haven't told anyone. What should I do? So we're just trying to create networks. As an ERG, we've had lots of guest speakers in. And one of my key kind of points that I've sort of driven at Oracle is that we want to do, our events need to be quality and not quantity. We don't need to have 1 million events, scheduled events. We don't need to do them unless we're really sure we want people to present and we want to pass on a message. So when we launched, I got Chris Varney from the ICANN network, as well as Shadia Hancock, who has her own business, Autism Actually. And I've known Shadia since they were 3. And one of their parents works for Oracle. So we had this launch and we were amazed. We had 500 people turn up at the launch. So we were really, really excited. It sort of started from nothing. I've tried to include people from different parts of Asia Pacific. So we've had an amazing autistic school in India, who basically, an art school. It basically caters for any autistic kids that have a leaning towards art. And that's how it was founded. And the person that runs that school is amazing. So we had her present, and that really resonated with a lot of people. We've had Autism CRM Now present about some of their technology, which has been amazing. And so, yeah, the events are really key, but what we're doing now, that I've got a bigger committee that's includes neurodiverse people and people that have a connection, where we've got a large part of Oracle is diversity and inclusion, and we have one person from diversity and inclusion as part of our committee members. So we kind of work hand in hand with diversity and inclusion, and we try and keep HR updated. So we're not kind of doing things that are separate. We try and stay aligned together, because we're such a big company that can really happen. So yeah, the guest speakers have been amazing. And we've started to see movement in the business. So people are now coming to us. So diversity and inclusion comes to us. Hiring parts of Oracle come to us. The last few hiring events that we've had, I've been a guest speaker for every employee that joins Oracle, where we've done sort of large masses of hiring of new employees to talk about our neurodiversity network and explain neurodiversity. So we sort of, just by starting with nothing really, we've been able to now, we've got, HR in each country coming to us and saying, we want to do an event together. We're having one next month with HR in Australia and New Zealand, and they're paying for it. It's coming out of their budget. And we're having Tim Sharp and his mother come to Oracle to sort of share their inspirational story. So it's been really eye-opening for me. And the best thing that I've sort of had that have come out of it is that I've been able to help employees at Oracle connect, that are disclosed or not disclosed. We're starting to take messages to large groups of management teams to kind of explain neurodiversity, but with some of their staff involved, which has just been amazing. So yeah, I'm really proud of where we've come. We've got a long way to go. I mean, I think Oracle's a huge company, and trying to change lots of things is difficult, like any huge company, but I feel we've got, the right people, and we've just released a video publicly through oracle.com globally, and it's got I've got an SVP from Oracle who I personally asked to be on this video about neurodiversity, and we've also got 3 of the 5 people that are on there are from my O&N ERG, talking about themselves, talking about why neurodiversity is important to them. So we've come a huge way in a short time.
And Elio, you said you got a number of new members because you increased the size from 5 to 10 because of the number of people that applied. Has that created a step change in the things you can do, or are you still working that through?
So the 5 to 10 is the committee members.
Yes.
So the committee, the people that subscribe are from all over the region. So yes, it means that we can do more because we're doing it all on a volunteer basis. It means that we've got more connections into the business, because these people work for different parts of Oracle that can be quite disconnected. We've got 130,000 staff. So it's really important to get some of the messages in at the grassroots level. I think that's really, really important. Even though our CEO has spoken about ERGs and sponsors them and so on, some of the, I think, fundamental change and some fundamental training needs to happen at the grassroots level.
Thank you. And Pierre, can you just tell us a bit more about the Ubisoft neurodiversity ERG and so on?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. On Ubisoft side, so we're smaller than Oracle. It's just 23,000 employees across the world. We started the ERG a bit more than 2 years ago, and I founded the ERG, and the story is very similar to the one from Elio and also Imogen. It was really, for me, a matter of just being out of a very difficult experience as a parent of neurodivergent children. One of them has been excluded from school, despite the law, despite the protection. You quickly discover, I think, when you are a parent of a neurodivergent kid and when you are yourself neurodivergent, you see the discrepancy between the intention and the reality. And there is a huge gap. And that gap can exist also in the company we're working. You might have very good, intention wording, but on the floor, day to day, this is not happening. and it is not fitting the reality. So to come back to the employee resource group, I founded it 2 years ago. And from the very beginning, we decided to make an international group. So it's on neurodiversity specifically. It's not under the umbrella of a broader organization or ERG like ability, disability. No, it's specifically neurodiversity. And today, after 2 years, we gather 420 members from all over the world, 20 different countries, all type of job, all type of seniority, and all type of stories. So we welcome, of course, individuals who have been diagnosed or self-identify as neurodivergent. Then we have people who have relatives or friends who are neurodivergent. So they might be, it's family, or they might be caregiver. And then we also have perfectly neurotypical member. And that's very, very important to us. Because when you look at the message of neurodiversity, it is clear. It says like every human being has, our brain is as unique as our fingerprint. So everyone is unique. So it's important if we want to drive change to embark everyone on the journey. Basically, we have that group now, and the objectives are the same as the one explained by Imogen and Elio. Awareness, raising awareness first, support inclusion, and then something specific to us. We are a video game company, so we want to explore the link between neurodiversity and video game. And what is interesting on our side is that the way we gather is online. So we are a tech company, well, quite techy. So we're using Microsoft Teams, and we have a private online forum accessible to members only. And this online forum is our safe place. And what is very interesting is that very quickly when we created the group, something did happen. We did set up sub-community on conditions. So the first one was on ADHD. Then we had one for gifted, another for autistic, another one for parents, another one for dyslexia. It is working as a peer support group. So we don't do so much live meeting. We tend to prefer asynchronous discussion through the Microsoft Teams online platform. Sometimes we're doing Teams live meetings. And the peer support group are just amazing because it has been initiated not by me, but by the people in the group very quickly. And it was just like when we started, just like we opened the Pandora box. Because in fact, by creating an online private forum, we created a safe, non-judgmental place. And we created psychological safety. So as Elio was saying, in our group, we have all types of people. And some are very open, they disclose, they share to their teammates, manager, HR, but still a majority doesn't dare to share and to explain. But when they enter the group, it's safe. So they can start sharing. And that's a very basic principle of psychological safety at work, is that not being afraid of being judged, punished because of what you're going to share and to say. So that's how it's been working so far. And what is interesting, what I wanted to underline is that, so 420, that's quite a nice number. And it's cool to see that every week we have new member coming. But it's about 10 to 15% of the community who is really active or vocal, right? So it means that a big part of our community is remaining silent, but we value silent participation. Just for example, looking at our analytics, more than half of our community is connecting daily on our forum. And every month it's 95%. And we really want to cherish and value silent participation because it's important, because we've seen so many people, so many of our colleagues who just join the group and then they listen or they read. And at one point, for some, it took more than 1 year, they started to share. And I think that dimension is very, very interesting. When you do an employee resource group and an employee-led initiative, it won't be only about the people who dare to talk. It will be also about the people who dare to join and listen. Because as Elio was saying, yes, at one point we were feeling alone. And suddenly you're not feeling alone anymore.
So Pierre, how do employees join the ERG? Is there a process to go through or?
Yes, absolutely. So in fact, we created a registration form. And it's an important step because by filling up the registration form online, it's an engagement. And the most important thing is what we said at the very beginning. He says that we want you, so you're in, you just need to commit to the fact that you have a genuine interest in neurodiversity. So we're not asking you to be diagnosed or to self-identify, no, you just need a genuine interest. And then very, very important, we ask people to join as individuals and not as representative of any teams or any organization. And this is the reason why within our group, we have HR members. We have managers. And you know, some people might be, because the HR who are joining, they join as an individual, not as an official representative of HR. And it's a great news because we know that in their day-to-day job, they will take into account neurodiversity. So those ones will be among our first champions. But when they come in the ERG, they come as an individual. And it is essential to guarantee the safe space. Because elsewhere it looks a little bit like, so HR people management is creating a group. So it's not very genuine. It's not sincere. I'm not going to go there because I'm afraid, because I might be judged. So that's very important, the registration process and the sign up. Like you have a genuine interest, you confirm you have a genuine interest and that you come as an individual. And of course, you engage yourself to be respectful of all kind of opinion.
Elio or Imogen, do you want to add anything to that? Or else I have another question for.
Seems like a very similar journey. Like I think, you know, very similar journey at Oracle. And it's really great sharing this information because I think we're all, even just from hearing each other speak, we're learning, you know, things that are happening in different companies, which is really supports sort of what you're doing, like what we're doing at Oracle and Ubisoft. Like we're doing some things very similarly. So it's kind of, you know, makes you sort of a bit more sure that you're on the right path.
Okay, so Pierre, just a follow-on question. Do you think there's a business case for having an ERG?
Absolutely. I would extend the question to, is there a business case to embrace neuroinclusion at work and neurodiversity at work? I was saying in the introduction that today I'm doing a quite specific role. So the initiative I started, had some result. And a year ago, Ubisoft decided to create an official neurodiversity talent program. And they proposed me to run that program. So here I am today. And so I'm going soon to officially leave the leading chair of the ERG to be really full-time on my new position. But what is the business case? It's simple. Embracing neurodiversity at work, embracing neuroinclusion, it's a way to maximize your return on investment on employees' talent. And let me share with you an illustration, an example. And it's a story, okay? It's a Little Mermaid story. Imagine that you are a company who wants to recruit the best singing voice in the world, and you found the ideal candidate. It's a Little Mermaid, and she's living in Copenhagen. You recruit her, she signed a contract, and then you tell her, you know what, you're going to join our amazing development team, and they are gathered in one location in the world, and this location is in Austin, Texas. You're sending the Little Mermaid to Austin, Texas, and 6 months after, you go and visit her, and she lost her voice, and she's depressed, and she's not delivering. What did happen? Well, it's simple. The Little Mermaid, to perform at her best, she needs sea water. And there is no sea water in Austin, Texas. So when we recruit individual in company or organization, we recruit talent and skill. And what we systematically forgot is that talent and skills are coming with condition of application. And those conditions are work environment preferences. We are all different. We all have our own preferences. Some will prefer to speak up, use their voice, others to write. Some will be good at immediate reaction. Others will need time to process. And that's neurodiversity. So the business case is really to maximize return on investment on employee talent. Because if I'm recruiting you, Andrew, for example, and then you're telling me I'm highly sensitive to noise, and I answer you, yes, me too, but I don't have money, so you'll work in an open space just like everyone, because that's the way it is. It means that instead of accessing 100% of your talent, I will access only 50%. So in business term, it means that as an employer, I'm actively sabotaging my own investment, which is completely stupid. So when we recruit someone, we'll recruit talent and skill, and we need to understand that we need to deploy everything we can as an employer to create the right work environment so that you can reach your full potential. Because this is our best interest. So for us, that's the business case. And it's a strong one. Because if you refuse it and don't follow it, then you fall into one-size-fits-all policy, extremely normative policy, which is a little bit problematic, because when you're in a business, you're supposed to innovate. How do you want to innovate if you constantly recruit people who are coming from the same school, thinking the same way, getting organized the same way? There's no creativity there.
Thank you. So I've got some questions coming through from the audience. And one thing is around disclosure, and whether you are talking about people disclosing, or whether you're trying to create a safe disclosure process, or whether it's something that you're not trying to promote at all. You're just willing for people to join the ERG and be part of the group. Imogen, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, similar to what Elio has said, is there's no, and Pierre, there's no requirement to disclose, and I don't think that that's necessarily important, but there's definitely a push in GHD, globally, in terms of inclusion and diversity, that everybody should be able to bring their whole selves to work. So we would, encourage everybody to feel comfortable to bring their whole selves to work and disclose if they choose. But there's absolutely no option, and I don't think there ever will be. It's a personal preference, I think. But wouldn't it be nice if everyone felt comfortable too? I think that's the end goal.
So how are you finding situations where you're providing support for people who are facing challenges with their work colleagues, and you're not understanding them? They're concerned about disclosing and not sure what to do, and not sure there's the understanding amongst their colleagues to do that safely.
I think that's less and less of a concern, Andrew. I think people are definitely feeling more comfortable to disclose. More of our questions are around leaders saying, I've had someone disclose, how can I help them? Which is a positive.
Okay.
I think on our side, Andrew, yeah, and there's a majority of our members in the ERG who doesn't want to disclose. They are still too afraid. It might be, yeah, you know, I think what is important to understand is that when you hire someone who is neurodivergent, or anyone, you come with a story and a personal story. So it's not because you said you join a company who is open, who is proactive, that psychological safety happens immediately. No, you're going to be doubtful, because if your past experience in life has been negative all the time, that's going to be super difficult to win your trust. And that's the challenge here. And I would say that disclosure should never be an objective of an HR team or of any team. Disclosure is a personal decision. What should be an objective is that you do everything you can as an employer to create the right conditions so that people feel at ease. To some extent, the objective should be, we should talk about, do you need anything specific to perform your work? That's the right question to ask. Because right now, if I'm looking at Ubisoft reality, the reality so far, despite our group and so on, we have a long road to go, because a huge majority of our members, they don't dare to ask. And they're facing not evil people, but people who believe that granting accommodation is granting a privilege, that granting accommodation is creating a precedent. And those are false beliefs, because many people are still stuck on the principle of equality, and they don't get at all the principle of equity, which is a business concern. Because what does equity mean? It means that you're going to give all the what an individual needs to succeed. And as a business, you want individual you recruited to succeed. This is why you recruited them again. If you refuse to grant accommodation, you level up everyone, but not to the max, to the lowest.
Fantastic, thank you. Elio, just wondering if there's any advice, given all the things you've been through, any advice you'd give to organizations thinking about starting up a group, an employee affinity group?
Yeah, I guess when you're starting up the group and you're looking for people to be part of the committee, I would look for people that are passionate, that have the skills that you need for the type of community that you're trying to run. Because it is employee run, it needs, you need multiple skills. It's like running a little business, really. So, you know, you need people that can do marketing, you need people that set up events, you need people that can help support people in the business. So all those skills are fantastic, but you don't need to have them all straight away. You can just start little. We just started little, and the thing that I think has really been successful for us is having our vision and our mission there. So, you know, having passionate people, having a clear vision and mission with what you want to do. And before you decide that, you know, speak to people in the business and sort of think about that clearly, sort of what your mission and vision is. You don't need a budget, so that's not something that you necessarily need. There's lots of really good people in the community that will do things for free. And there's people that you have in your current, you know, in your current workforce that will do things and add value. The thing that I think has really been helpful at Oracle is that I've had a lot of personal experience with people, bringing people together. So for 20 years of my time at Oracle, I worked in support. And we used to have country support, then we had regional support, then we had global support. So I was the person in Asia Pacific that ran that part of the business. And when we did that, I realized the power of bringing people together. I realized that we've got so much talent, so many answers to so many questions in our current workforce today. As long as you can bring those people together and you can have them collaborate, you can answer anything. Like, you know, with our neurodiversity network, I feel now we've got a huge network of people that are part of it, members. We've got a really good committee, but it never feels sort of like once you have many minds together, you can do anything.
Thank you. And Imogen, do you want to add anything to that?
I think
Pierre?
that's
Yeah.
fairly comprehensive. I think the only other thing that really helped us get things moving is an executive sponsor. So the general manager of Australia is on board, and you know, focused on the success of the ERG. So I think that's important as well.
Okay. And Pierre, I'm sure you got something to say on that one.
Yes, I think to complete what Elio and Imogen said, you need to be aware if you are working in an organization, public, private, you already have a lot of neurodivergent on board. It's just that they are silent because they are used to mask. So just to give you an example, in the video game industry, there's a lot of neurodivergent people, but it's not said officially. You know, who did create video game? Geeks, techies, nerds. And you know, I'm one of them. So there's a lot of neurodivergent. There has been a study in UK saying that among British game developers, 4% self-identify on the autism spectrum. 4%. Tell me today which industry has a 4% representation rate of autistic among its employees. But the issue is that no one knows it, even inside the company. Because majority of my colleagues who are on the spectrum, they mask. And it's a pity, because when you mask, you spend a huge amount of energy, and it's an energy you're not using on the full expression of your natural talent. So I would say to create an ERG, you might be alone at the beginning, but in fact, you're not at all. You'll be surprised by the number of people who will raise their hand progressively. So look at it. And if you consider as a company, if your manager, an exec, to launch specific hiring program, my advice would be start taking care of your actual employees. Because you already have autistic people, ADHD people, dyslexic people on board. So sit down with them and listen, because they have things to tell you, and you will learn things about your own company. Some things about what's not working well. And as Imogen was saying, if you bring modification, that will benefit everyone ultimately.
Thank you, Pierre. So thank you to Imogen, Pierre, and Elio for some great insights. We're going to head off to the next session, which is a case study with My Way and Matchworks. But before you do, please, we really appreciate your feedback. So if you can take a minute just to complete the session feedback. And then once you're ready to move on to the next session, just get back to the homepage or the agenda page, and you'll see the sessions listed there. But thank you once again, and thank you to our sponsors, AIG, for sponsoring this session. I think there's been some great insights provided by the panel. Thank you.